Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. We're going to start with the 37 Bodhisattva practices, which is this little yellow book. Small but mighty. We'll begin on page 2. Namo Lokeshvaraya. While seeing that all phenomena neither come nor go, you strive solely for the sake of all beings. Supreme Guru and Protector Chenrezig, at all times I respectfully pay homage to you with my body, speech, and mind. The perfect Buddhas, source of all benefit and happiness, arise from having accomplished the true Dharma. Since that depends on knowing the practices, I shall explain the way of Bodhisattvas. Having now gained this great ship of freedom and fortune so difficult to find, in order to free yourself and others from the ocean of cyclic existence, listen, reflect, and meditate day and night without distraction. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Attachment to loved ones churns like water, hatred for enemies rages like fire. In the darkness of ignorance, one forgets what to adopt and what to avoid. Abandon your homeland. This is the way of a bodhisattva. When negative places are abandoned, disturbing emotions will gradually decline. Without distractions, attention to virtue naturally grows. When the mind becomes clear, certainty in the Dharma arises. Live alone in seclusion. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Family and longtime companions will part from each other. Possessions gained with effort will be left behind. Consciousness, the guest, will leave the guest house of the body. Let go of all worldly concerns. This is the way of a bodhisattva. In bad company, the three poisons grow stronger. The activities of learning, reflecting, and meditating decline, and love and compassion are lost. Give up such companions. This is the way of a bodhisattva. When one follows a true spiritual friend, faults will dissolve and good qualities will grow like the waxing moon. Consider this friend more dear than your own body. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Who can worldly gods, themselves imprisoned in samsara, protect? Therefore, seek refuge in the three jewels, the undeceiving source of refuge. This is the way of a bodhisattva. The Buddha taught that all the unbearable suffering of the lower realms is caused by wrongdoing. Therefore, never act wrongfully, even at the cost of your life. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Like a dewdrop on a blade of grass, the happiness of the three worlds vanishes in but an instant. Strive for the supreme state of never-changing liberation. This is the way of a bodhisattva. When mothers who have loved you since beginningless time are suffering, what good is your own happiness? Therefore, give rise to bodhicitta in order to liberate infinite sentient beings. This is the way of a bodhisattva. All suffering, without exception, comes from seeking your own happiness. The perfect Buddhas are born from the altruistic mind. Therefore, truly exchange your own happiness for the suffering of others. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Even if someone driven by great desire steals all your wealth or lets others steal it, dedicate to them your body, possessions, and all virtues of the three times. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Even if someone cuts off your head when you haven't done anything wrong, take all their negative deeds upon yourself through the power of compassion. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Even if others slander you throughout 1 billion worlds, in return, speak with a loving mind of their good qualities. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Even if someone exposes your hidden faults and insults you in front of others, view that person as a teacher and bow with respect. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Even if someone you have cared for as dearly as your own child regards you as an enemy, love that person even more, as a mother would her ailing child. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Even if someone of equal or lower status, driven by pride, treats you with disdain, respectfully place them on your crown as your teacher. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Though you may be impoverished, always disparaged, gripped by disease and tormented by spirits, never lose courage, but take on the misdeeds and pains of all beings. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Though you may be famous and revered by many, and are as rich as the wealth god himself, having seen that worldly fortune is without essence, do not be proud. This is the way of a bodhisattva. If the enemy, your own anger, is not tamed, subduing outer enemies will only make them increase. Therefore, subdue your own mind with the army of love and compassion. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Sensory pleasures are like salt water. The more you drink, the greater your thirst. Abandon at once all things that give rise to clinging attachment. This is the way of a bodhisattva. The way things appear is your own mind. Mind itself primordially transcends fabricated extremes. Knowing just this, do not create concepts of subject and object. This is the way of a bodhisattva. When you come across things that attract you, like beautiful rainbows in summertime, do not regard them as real and abandon clinging attachment. This is the way of a bodhisattva. All suffering is like the death of your child in a dream. How exhausting it is to hold illusory appearances as real. Therefore, when you meet with difficult circumstances, see them as illusory. This is the way of a bodhisattva. When even one's body must be given up when aspiring for enlightenment, what need is there to mention material things? Therefore, practice generosity without hope of reward or karmic results. This is the way of a bodhisattva. If you lack moral discipline, you cannot accomplish even your own purpose, so wanting to achieve the purpose of others is truly absurd. Therefore, protect your discipline without concern for worldly existence. This is the way of a bodhisattva. For bodhisattvas who desire a wealth of virtue, all harm is like a precious treasure. Therefore, without hostility, be patient with everyone. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Even hearers or solitary realizers who accomplish only their own purpose strive as if putting out a fire on their head. Seeing this, practice with diligence the source of good qualities for the sake of all beings. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Disturbing emotions are destroyed by insight grounded in calm abiding. Knowing this, cultivate meditative concentration that purely transcends the four formless absorptions. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Without wisdom, the other five perfections alone are not enough to reach complete enlightenment. Thus, combined with skillful means, develop the wisdom that does not distinguish among the three spheres. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Unless you examine your own confused ideas, you might look like a practitioner but not be acting like one. Therefore, always examine yourself and abandon confusion. This is the way of a bodhisattva. If you are driven by disturbing emotions and talk about another bodhisattva's faults, it is actually to your own detriment. So don't mention the faults of those who have entered the great vehicle. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Concern for gain and respect causes conflict and a decline in the activities of learning, reflecting, and meditating. So abandon attachment to your circle of friends, relations, and benefactors. This is the way of a bodhisattva. Harsh words disturb others' minds and thus diminish the practice of a bodhisattva. Therefore, abandon harsh speech, which is unpleasant to others. This is the way of a bodhisattva. When disturbing emotions become habitual, it is difficult to reverse them with antidotes. Thus, the soldier of mindfulness wields antidotes as weapons and destroys disturbing emotions, such as attachment, the moment they start to arise. This is the way of a bodhisattva. In brief, whatever you are and whatever you are doing, always examine the state of your mind. Act to accomplish the purpose of others through constant mindfulness and awareness. This is the way of a bodhisattva. With the wisdom of threefold purity, dedicate all the virtue gained from having made such effort toward enlightenment. Dedicate it to clear away the suffering of infinite beings. This is the way of a bodhisattva. In accordance with the words of the Holy Ones regarding the meaning of the sutras, tantras, and their commentaries, I have written these 37 verses on the ways of a bodhisattva for those who wish to train on the bodhisattva's path. This composition will not be admired by the learned because my intellect is poor and my education is limited. However, I have followed the sutras and the words of the holy ones, so I believe these ways of a bodhisattva are not mistaken. Still, because the vast deeds of bodhisattvas are difficult to grasp by simple-minded beings like myself, I beg the forgiveness of the holy ones for the mass of my errors, such as contradictions and inconsistencies. By the virtue arising from this, may all beings give rise to relative and ultimate bodhicitta, and thereby become like the protector Chenrezig, who does not abide in the extremes of existence or peace.
Tangwe doje jajer zandro shinja mado doje bonjam ba zurje lombo davar jibek shakje jarbu jalang zanza dorjin janje delo naro dang marba mala jija gambo ba pamodre ba jawan dogong ba kaju lama namje da jonje danan zira damje da lama labla ye jesus Lao Song Yun Den Jiang Zun A La Wan Tin Zhe Dong Jian Zhe Be Ge Le Zor Zhen Jian Za We La Ma Ji Jie Gu Song Dao Jie Xin Lan Da 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 Ge Ju Lan Ben Da Ge Tim Ba Da Sim Jie Jie Dong Jia Jin Bon Zhe Gu Ra Xin Jie La De Zor. Good morning, dear brothers and sisters. Or ladies and gentlemen, same thing, right? This is the way of Bodhisattva. So everybody knows what is the Bodhisattva. The Bodhicitta is the way of the Bodhisattva. So what is the Bodhicitta? The Bodhicitta is Sanskrit. So, in English, actually we say compassionate. But in philosophy, we have different definitions. The bodhicitta and compassion. So, bodhicitta means loving kindness. Loving, in order to love. The love of the this is the good motivation, and compassion and love is a little different. Actually, we have one mind and many mentalities. So we just say a star, that is like a mind. Then we look in the sky in the night, they have thousands of stars. Same like that, we have many kind of different mentalities. So that's where compassion and loving kindness is a little bit different, okay? So we are going to practice on the loving kindness. So then that makes lots of help in our individual life. Anyway, in this life, loving kindness does help a lot. So loving kindness is always thinking for good wish for others. That makes it automatically relax own mind, own emotion. But the compassion is sometimes we see the problem of others. That moment, then we come up this feeling of the compassion. But sometimes it's a little bit part of the sadness. But that doesn't affect bad effects. But anyway, so we are going to practice that moment. We need lots of benefits for this life, of course for next life. So that's where especially we practice on the loving kindness. It makes a lot of help on self. So before start this teaching, let us practice on the loving kindness for a few minutes. This is my biggest request to you. Whenever I'm going to teach, I give tours, and I met different people. So whether they are my close friends or not. So I request to be usually in English says compassionate, but this is a good person, kind person. So that's where, if I met 100 people, among them, if I can make 10 people kind people, I feel satisfied. If I met 10 people, if I can make only one person is kind person, I'm satisfied. So if I make kind person, that is not try to make Buddhist, but this is really the kind person is necessary in our society, or in our family, in our group, right? That's where the practice on the bodhicitta is not so difficult. If you are practice on the bodhicitta, then you become bodhisattva. So that's where right now, in simply what we are doing practice on there is just your right side or left side, just you pick up one person, and whether you know before or you don't know, doesn't matter. So just motivate like that. May that person will be happy. Okay, makes sense? It's pretty easy, right? Let us do in a few minutes. Okay? Okay. So every day, every morning, you take this meditation for 3 minutes, 1 minute. You do that, then slowly, then you become bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is not like we cannot become bodhisattva immediately. But step by step we practice on there, then slowly become bodhisattva. Especially we are human beings, so we are the social animal. That's why each and every day we meet different people, or you are stay with the parents or children or grandparents, or you go to the school, you go to the shopping center, hospital, wherever you go, you meet different people. That moment, the momently you motivate, may that person will be happy, or may this person will be happy, just you think on there. No especially need the meditate on the some temple or something, but you take this motivation. This is a very easy to take and easy to do that. Whether people understood or not, it doesn't matter. So from your motivate, sometimes you see large number of people. That moment, all of these things. You motivate may all of these people. Those people will be happy. Or sometimes you see dog, or may this dog will be happy. And the cats and birds and snake or any kind of, because all living beings are same thing. Everybody need happiness. Right now we all need this fence. Why we need happiness? It's same thing, right? So that's where lots of things are same. Okay, this is my requesting. The beginning of my teachings and every moment. And then today I will give you teaching the review of my teaching in last week little bit, because someone is newcomer, someone in the last Sunday or so have, but this I want to little bit give you the review. Then it's better to understanding. So basically in this every Sunday I teach the Four Noble Truth. So that's everybody knows, right? That's where you are coming here. So then each Sunday I give different truths. For example, last Sunday I give teaching on the truth of suffering, and today is the my teaching is the truth of causes of suffering. But I a little bit will give review of my teaching from last week. So what is the truth of suffering? Okay. So first we say suffering. The suffering has 3 different classification. The suffering of suffering is we have double sufferings. For example, thirsty, then hungry. This is, we can say, the example of the suffering of suffering. And also sometimes headache, that later stomach ache is also the stomach is also ache, and kind of this morning some due to some situations unhappy, and afternoon again different unhappy. with our life. This is the suffering of suffering. And then changing of suffering. The changing of suffering is if I hold the kind of the hot water in my left hand, then I'm so difficult. It's a little bit burning or something. Then I change the cup of the hot water, and I hold in my hand. The momently my right hand is a little bit okay, but later then my right side of the hand also again pain or suffering. This is called the changing of suffering. Also, sometimes we have a little momentarily have a little bit of happiness, but then momentarily it is changed into the suffering. That is called the changing of the suffering. And then passive suffering. This is we cannot say, oh, this is the passive of suffering. Because we have lots of suffering and the changing of the suffering. That's why we cannot feel the passive suffering. But the example of the passive suffering is our body. Whenever our body is with our life, then it's ready to come different sufferings. That's where we have a fundamental of the suffering. We can say the passive of suffering is the fundamental of suffering or subtle of the suffering. Because we have a grasping. I think, oh, this is my body. That's where I don't need pain. I don't need suffer with this body. I think like that I belong to this body. For that reason, sometimes getting cold. Sometimes getting too much hot, sometimes getting sick, like that. So they comes from the subtle of the suffering. That is called the previous suffering. Okay, so then it's possible you think, oh, this is kind of the optimism. Maybe in English called optimism, because since the start to teaching, then we talk the suffering or suffering. Then it's possible we think it's a pessimist. It looks like the Buddhism of the teaching is a pessimist, but that is not, because Buddha said that first we want to know the suffering. And then coming up the idea of the how to remove this suffering. That's where the result is the optimist. The way of the learning is a little bit pessimist. We can say that. But the view of Buddhism is not pessimist. Am I correct? Okay, so this is last week I was teaching on there, and still something not finished on there. That's where today I want to finish on there. But to start in this teaching, last week I a little bit teach the background of the Buddhism. So today also there are some newcomers. Many newcomers. That's where I want to teach a little bit the background of the Buddhism. The Buddhism comes from 2,500, almost 600 years ago, as Buddha Shakyamuni created the Buddhism. So the Buddhism is it's not like just how to say, in order to, this is not only believing, but this is not only wisdom. It's a union, belief and wisdom. So the way of our practice also we need this. We need to practice with wisdom and the belief together. And then Buddha, this Buddhism is in order to, I can say, it comes from Buddha's experience. Because in his life, he got a lot of suffering, lots of obstacles. If I pick up simple examples, the Buddha Shakyamuni, his father is king, mother is queen. Then their plan is Buddha Shakyamuni will be king instead of his father. But his uncle, Buddha Shakyamuni's uncle, and uncle's wife, and then he has a son, and then some of the people of his kingdom, they are jealous to the Buddha Shakyamuni because they don't want to be Buddha Shakyamuni is king of their kingdom. That's why they are all 24 hours worried about Buddha Shakyamuni will be king. So they think my son cannot be king. That's where they are unhappy. Then, but this way, they cultivate a lot of the obstacles to the Buddha Shakyamuni. But this way, Buddha Shakyamuni got a lot of suffering. And then that next also, the Buddha Shakyamuni experienced a lot of suffering, and also he saw this suffering of the world actually, because they have money, have wealth or health, still there's a lot of suffering. Or without food, without money, without health, also have a lot of suffering. That's where then why this suffering is coming in this world. Then how to kick out these sufferings, how to, in order to put out. So that's where he got a lot of experiences. And then also, he knows in the kingdom there's no way to remove all the obstacles. Then he went to the solid place. He became a monk. But still, his nephew and his uncle's wife and their ministers, they're always jealous with him. They don't want to be Buddha is famous. So that's where forever they destroyed to him. But this way he knows that in this life actually has not kind of this life's activities is not cause of the genuine happiness. So by this way, in order to he practice a lot, studied a lot, experienced it a lot, and then by this way he become enlightenment. He become Buddha, right? After he become Buddha, then he started to teach actually he gave the 3 special teachings. All the Buddha's teachings are including 3, in English says 3 vehicles. So then first he gives teaching this 4 noble truth. And then second he teaches some sutara. And third, then he makes some make clear first his teaching and second of his teaching. He made clear between there, and then he gives teaching tantara. So, and then this is actually I already taught last Sunday. And then in Tibet, how Buddhism is flourish around Tibet. So this is I want to teach today a little bit on there, okay? So the Buddhism is come, receive or come, same, right? It's come to the Tibet, came to the Tibet in around the 7th century. 7th century. That time, Tibetan is king system. So this king is we call the king of Sungtsin Gampo. But in historically, before the king of Sungtsin Gampo, still some part of the Buddhism flourished in Tibet. But basically, in the 7th century is come this Buddhism in Tibet. Especially in 8th century, then there's a king of Chisong Debzin. That moment, then he invited some masters of the India. Then he how to say, improving lots of the Buddhism in Tibet. Since from that time, then Buddhism grow up in Tibet. And then, yeah, that is a little bit the background of the Buddhism. And then, what is the rule and regulation of the Buddhism? Since we are becoming the practitioner of Buddhism, always we want to keep one samaya. Samaya is like a commitment in the mind. That is, if I can help other people, other life, I have to do that. If I cannot help other people and others' life, I don't want to destroy to others' life. That is our samaya, our commitment. This is always we want to keep that with our mind. Our mind is like a king. Body and speech are like ministers. So if we have kind of this commitment in the mind, may we do not destroy to others' life and others' things. But in some case of our emotions, something happened, but not that much seriously. Sometimes it's happened because we have emotions. But it's possible sometimes we are regret about these things. So this is our commitment, okay? What is our commitment? If we can help others by the sincere motivation, we do that. If we cannot help others, then we do not destroy it to others. That is, we want to keep that. Okay? And then already I little bit taught on the theory classification of the suffering, and also still in this truth of suffering, we classify 4. So this in truth of suffering, and the one classification is impermanent. Why we are suffering? Why the suffering in this world, in this life? Because it is impermanent. Do you believe? This is impermanent. That's where, for example, if I got $1 million, that moment I'm happy. But then moment later, I am unhappy because I worried about that, how to keep this, right? And then I worried if somebody took this, somebody steal this, or if I lost all this, or I want to work with this in the bank, then I paid tax, right? Tax. So I have a lot of. If I become sponsor of this money, I give something, and those people doesn't work well about this money, then I'm unhappy. That's where this is impermanent with money and health. We spend a lot of money, in order to hard working for the health. But 1 year I'm okay. Then next, go to the hospital, checking about my body. They say there have some problems. There is some problems. That means impermanent. So this way the suffering. And first we have parents, family together, and then separated. This is also suffering. So for the reason of the impermanence, it is suffering. And then the suffering comes from bad motivation, bad emotion. That's where suffering is suffering. So that's where we do not need this feeling. We do not need this action. We do not need. Make sense? And also then we says the suffering is a selflessness actually. The suffering is a selflessness, then why we are suffering? If suffering is a selflessness, then why we are suffering? This is question, right? But the way of the learning, we want to thinking like that. In some, in order to if there truly exist self is truly exist, then we request to the own self, please kick out the suffering. And please always 24/7 may I will be happy. We can request that. But that is not. It is illusion. Grasping is illusion. I is illusion. It is delusion. So there's not truly exist self. So that's why in the form of the illusion, then we are suffering. Our dream is illusion or true? It is illusion, right? When we are sleeping, then we got different dreams. Sometimes we got a dream like we are flying. We got different dreams, but when we woke up, this is not true. Sometimes I got dream I am in Tibet with the parents. But morning woke up, I'm in the bed, right? In my room. So that's where that is illusion. Dream is illusion. That's where in the form of the illusion, we are suffering. And then this is also empty. Because empty means it's interdependent each others. We call the book, beautiful book. Just we label these covers and the letters and the gathering, make a gathering, then we just call this is the book. Then we give extra name is beautiful book, wonderful book. So this way you analyze carefully how about this life. It is empty. Just is dependent each other's that moment we give. Right? If you call me teacher, where is the teacher? Due to my action, you just call this. You call this name, you use that name on me, then I activities with that. But you really come search from my head to my legs, where is the teacher? You cannot find. But till now, we, due to the our familiar since beginningless, then we think, oh, this is true, this is true. If little go deeply analyze about that, that's not true. So that's where the for those reasons, the suffering is suffering. Make sense? Okay. So this is my little bit teaching on the first truth, and also a little bit review. And today, teaching is the cause of suffering. Cause of suffering. And then who knows the cause of suffering is Buddha knows. He understood. Buddha understood the cause of suffering, and Buddha's family didn't understood that. That's where they think that they are unhappy with the cause of suffering, that moment. They are unhappy with the suffering, but they cannot find the cause of suffering. That's where Buddha's father, he would be, his son will be king. He is unhappy on the stage of the king, but he loved his son, but still he would be, his son is king instead of him. Make sense? Buddha's father is king. He is unhappy on the stage of the king, but he don't know that. That's where he thought that his stage of a king is a happiness, power, and something. That's where he would like to put his son on his stage. That's where we understand that scientifically Buddha's father don't know the cause of suffering and what is the suffering. Just he felt, but he don't know. That's where Buddha say, first we want to recognize the suffering. Usually we think, oh, we know suffering. Oh, suffering is unhappy, we know. But yeah, we know, true, we know about this, but how we know is different, right? So that's where then Buddha knows that. And then Buddha tried to search the cause of suffering. And then he found it. And then he gave us teaching this. Then sufferings comes from where? Suffering is just comes from in the sky? No. The sufferings are just grow up on the ground? No. Then comes from where? Where? The sufferings comes from the cause of suffering. Then what is the cause of suffering? So the definition of the cause of suffering is the cause of suffering is his action. He or she is a little bit funny, right? We can say its action is always give some result. Those results are suffering. All of these activities are suffering. All of the results are suffering. That is we called cause of suffering. Make sense? Make sense? So, then what are there? What are the cause of suffering? There's two things. One is emotion. Another is we called action. In Sanskrit, we call the karma. Tibetan called the lay. Lay means action. This action is also comes from those emotions. Okay. So then, how many the emotions there? Actually, we can say the countless. But for the understanding these emotions, then we can say this. First is the 6 basic emotions. The root of 6 defilements. Actually, I use the afflictions, but someone don't understand that due to my pronunciation. So right now, maybe you understand afflictions. Afflictions means defilements and emotion. What are there? Attachment, ignorance, attachment, anger, arrogance, and doubt, and wrong view. Those are we call the 6 basic emotions. Due to your attachment, what happened? Someone used the greed. So I need. This comes from attachment. This feeling comes from attachment. Okay, you need education, you need Dharma teaching, you need fence in the hot weather, you need cold water in the hot weather. Yeah, this is allowed. It's okay, you can prefer. But still you need, if you have, if we're talking about the money, you have 1,000, you need 2,000. You have 2,000, you need the 3,000, right? Something like that. Not only the money. Then you have 1 room, you need 2 rooms. You have 1 car, you need another car, right? You need to sleep in 1 night, but that next night also you need to sleep in. So you're thinking about that. This comes from greed. Then how that makes it unhappy? If you have old car, then you need a new car. If you have no new car, why you don't have new car? Because you don't have a job. You have no job, then what happened? You are unhappy because you cannot buy a new car, right? And then same thing. Right now, this is for make sense. That's why I pick up these examples. Otherwise, we have the same thing. For me, right now I have no car, but I have many greedy. I have many attachment. I have 1 book, still I need another book. I have 1 teacher, English teacher, I need another teacher. That is true in this day, I need like this. And then, for example, I need a lot of things due to my attachment, and something is cannot get, then I'm unhappy. So this is the same thing. We all same thing. So how to make the suffering by the attachment? That's where we are going to practice contentment. Who have contentment, they have more happy. In order to we need some satisfy. And then another thing is anger. Anger makes suffering. It is true. That is true, right? It makes disease of the heart attack. That's one thing. Another thing is if we have very two close friends, the action of the anger separate. And family separate by the anger emotions. Is something broken by the anger emotions? Something is disbelief. Okay, that's not. Something is a bad result comes from anger, emotion of the anger. That's where my another request is every morning you wake up, you do promised commitment by yourself. Today I don't be angry with my mom. Only today. I don't want to be angry with my father. I don't want to be angry with my classmates, my roommate, my colleagues, my dog, my cat. You do that promise. It makes a lot of help, honestly. If you are not short temper or not angry, then you find a lot of friends. Sometimes you are failure without anger emotion. You look like that, honestly. But you have another smarter things, smart helper is your wisdom. You used your wisdom. So anger is the cause of suffering. It is true. If we are believe the next life, this life we are anger, we act with angry emotion, the next life rebirth. If we rebirth the human life, then become ugly. So we don't need the ugly, right? We need the beauty and the smart. If you do not believe next life, but still in this life, if you need friends, or you don't need a friend particularly, and you do not believe next life, it doesn't matter in this life. If you need the health, especially your heart, then you don't do angry. You learn the patience. Before coming angry, the best your protector is the commitment. Second, you realize of anger situation of the anger emotions coming. That moment, one idea is you use your wisdom. Then you have the way of the thinking how to solve these problems. So that's where anger emotion. Then the pride or arrogance. Arrogance does what? Oh, I am smart. I have a lot of knowledge they don't have. Then you always look down on other people. You always think you are some wonderful and something like that. But this way, if you need to stay somewhere, you need to stay higher levels. If there's something good things, first you need these things. You always think you are smart, you are special, right? But this way, then people don't like you. How much you are going to activities with the arrogance, really people don't like you. Then you cannot find friends. If people due to your currently your money, currently your little bit power, people show some respect and something, say something, but they don't like internally. But this way, one time you get some problems, they never help with you. So that's why we want to be humble and simple. That is very important. It's not for the sake of only for people love you. But you want to help other people. If you want to help, you need to help other people, then you want to be humble and simple. But during the moment of the upside and people challenge to you, that moment you never give up, okay? So this is who help. Only wisdom help. Or people make kind of the look down, people challenge you and something, during that you don't do angry, but you think, oh, I want to keep used my wisdom. And I don't want to be like that. But at that moment you are angry, what happened? Sometimes you fight with them. Sometimes you become suicide. These things are happening in many countries, many people. So that's where, in order to don't be arrogance, don't activities with arrogance. Especially you have knowledge. How much you have knowledge, how many you have knowledge, then you become humble and humble. For example, this writer, this master, what he says, the last sentence. Everybody read, right? So this is the Bodhisattva. So since I started to teaching Buddhism, I started learning from this book. And I learned many years about the Buddhism philosophy and different of the subjects. Right now I read this. Each and every day I read that there is different understanding. Who wrote this? This master. This master is completely mastered. But still he said, I don't know, and something is very humble. So this is if we do not need lots of suffering, we want to be practice with good behavior and something. And then doubt. D-O-U-B-T. Sorry, sometimes my pronunciation is not good. So hopefully, fortunately, I can pronounce spelling on there, right? So doubt makes is lots of wrong things also. Oh, maybe he does some wrong things with me. She does. I cannot believe they're here. This is in the daily life. Then another is on self-doubt. Oh, if I do some practice, I cannot become Bodhisattva. We felt doubt. And we think, oh, there's maybe no karma. Maybe there's no next life. Maybe my nature of mind is not Buddha. Because this comes from doubt. Maybe there's no next life. It's doubt, but that is not too bad of doubt. Not too bad. But then sometimes your doubt is, oh, maybe next life exists due to the today's teacher taught about that. But next, this teacher taught different things. Oh, maybe there's no next life. This is not too bad. Actually, this is doubt. This is not good things, but then you determine it by yourself. Oh, there's no next life. Okay, I don't care. There's no cause and effect. There's no Buddha nature. This is a very bad doubt. This doubt and the wrong view is almost the same. There's no pure line. Only this life. If finish this life, then finish everything. The history is finished. You think like that, this is the wrong view. If you do not believe the next life, then what happened? You don't care anything. If you want to kill thousands of people, you don't care. You think only this life. I cannot say 100%, but due to my learning about the healer. Have you heard before healer? Somebody says Hitler. In the Second World War, right? Due to his actions, he only trust with this life. Looks like he don't believe next life. That's why if he killed thousands of people, it's no problem. If that mind is coming in the mind, what is that mind? What is this view? If you have a wrong view, then your power is used the wrong way. It's very, very possible. Your knowledge used the wrong way. Your idea used the wrong way. Your economic used the wrong way. That's where then how many people get the suffering. So we are coming here. If we are created by the Buddha or created by the karma or created by the gods, or it doesn't matter. But we are come here for what? For make peace, harmony, happiness. Because we have no long nail. We have no, long teeth. If we are like a ghost, then we can say, oh, you are looks like a ghost. That's why you are come here for the destroy this world. But we are come in this world. That moment, our hand is very beautiful, right? Since we are when we first give birth by mother, we are very pity. That tell us you are come for make peace and happy yourself and for others. That's where this is sixth root of the emotions or defilements or afflictions. They are cause of suffering. It is true. If you are angry, the result is suffering or happiness. Result is suffering, right? Then due to the attachment sometimes we compare with the different things. For example, angry emotion, the attachment is a little bit gentle, little bit soft. But some due to the result of the attachment, what happened? Lots of suffering. Usually, perhaps it is a little bit complicated. Hopefully, I make clear with you. But due to this teaching, if you have some questions, then you can ask me. So, if you become monk and a nun, actually you have no extra suffering. Some of. Because you are married with a husband or you are married with a wife, is for what? Sorry, for what? Not like this. Why you are married? If you are angry with one person and that person is angry, you cannot marry with that, right? Each other's. But you love each other's. This love is desire, attachment. After you married, then you have children. Then you have children. Then you need to take care of children. First, they are baby, that moment. If your friend go to the theater, dance, or traveling to different wonderful places, you cannot, because you take care of your baby in your womb or your stomach or your home or somewhere. After then this baby grow up, still not enough. You want to spend the school. You want to spend your child in school. If you just spend in school, it's okay or not? This is not okay. You need money because you want to pay. That's why you need a job. Okay, you have a job, you have little money. Then you spend this for on yourself, of course. But you want to spend for the school, children's knowledge. Okay, you are okay to spend money for the children's knowledge. It's enough? No, because you want to pay health insurance for the children, right? And then still not enough. Only you spend your children in school, but your children need the studying well. They need to learn the education very well. Then you have competition. Or another family children is very intelligent. But what happened with you? It looks like that, but then from your mind have attachment with these children. You love that children, then you spend a lot. If you have no more money, you go to the restaurant, you buy only one food, in only one plate. If that you cannot eat all of this, you share about this food for your children. So these things are actually comes from the attachment, but I don't mean they are very bad. You don't want to care about your children. I don't mean that. Please don't misunderstand, okay? But children, some children always try to take the money from parents. They do not listen carefully from parents. It makes suffering. Parents are unhappy. Basically, this result is due to the attachment. But right now, if I'm going to teach a little bit opposite, and in the positive things, is the children definitely think about the convenience of parents, okay? Parents always take care. We all grow up by the children. That's where parents took care, look after always 24/7. Through this way we are growing up. So if future you become parents, then you know how big responsibility of parents. So that's where right now you want to think always, think so much to your parents. I want to think by myself. So yeah, thinking about this, and we want to learn about the cause of suffering. The karma is actually we say karma is already I little bit give you the teaching on the karma as action. This action is two things. And the positive things, if we do be patient and practice on the loving kindness, compassion, and practice on the Dharma nature, meditation, then that moment we have karma. This karma is the cause of the future Buddha. When we are become Buddha, what happened? Then we have genuine happiness. Then we have no suffering. Then we have no these emotions, bad emotions. But the another karma is then we have actually already I talks about this due to the angry emotion. Then the next life. Actually, recently lots of people doesn't teaching about the hell, the realms of the hell, right? Hell, hell. Am I correct? They just teach, oh, this life, happiness, joy, something like that. But sometimes we need to know really another way, another path. Because in this teaching system, of this teaching have about these things. So we are strongly angry, and we have a strong anger emotion. Then we act with this anger emotion. If we kill other people, then the result is after we died, then we go to the where? Hell. Go to the hell. I don't make scared you. But if we rebuild in the hell realms, then 24/7 there's no happiness. even though there's no names of happiness, until finish this bad result. So that's where the anger emotion is how serious cause of some result. And then by this way, this is the one example. So we learn by this way. Then we need to change from the emotion of the anger. So already I mentioned it. Before you are angry, then you commitment. Today I don't want to be angry with my parents, my friends, and my brothers, sisters, or something like that, my teacher and my colleagues. If you do that, then some situations come in. That moment you are not easy to be angry person. But the moment a little bit happens something, you do anger, then use that. Then you become familiar with that. Good things is familiar, good action is also familiar, bad action is familiar. If you always afternoon, after lunch, take the nap, right? Nap, then you become familiar. Then sometimes you didn't get time to, you do not get the time to take the nap, then you are a little bit hazy, right? So this is everything we can use. If you each and every moment be patient, parent or be patient, then slowly somebody used lots of serious words, harsh words, and something happened, still you can be laugh. You can be patient. So that's where we want to see the qualities of the patient, good motivation, and then we prevent some bad motivations. Okay. So today, what we want to know? We want to recognize the suffering, and then you ask by yourself, I need suffering or no need suffering? Okay, I no need suffering. If I no need suffering, if I kick out only the suffering, then the next suffering is come up or not? No. For example, I have hair. I cutting my hair, not root of my hair, right? Just this part I cutting here. Then next week again grow up. Then cutting this hairs, right? Hairs. And then next time grow up. Same like that. If you kick out the suffering, then another suffering is coming. You kick out the suffering, another suffering is coming. That's where Buddha is how smart, you know. Buddha say the root of the suffering. Root of the suffering. You kick out the root of the suffering. Cause of suffering. Then suffering has no way to come. Then suffering has no chance to come with you. That's where first you know suffering, and second you give up or remove or purify the causes of suffering. It is easy. Not that much easy, honestly, but one thing is we have this opportunity, right? Okay, then today also we are not finishing completely the cause of suffering. Same thing, next week I'm going to finish the cause of suffering. And then also I start to teach the cessation. So today is, we can say, pessimist. the last Sunday's teaching is also about the pessimist. If you like to use that, it's pretty okay. But then this next Sunday and the last Sunday of this month is optimist. Because we talk about the suffering. Then next we talk about the cause of suffering. And then next, we have suffering, we have a cause of suffering. If we have those things, then do we have chance to remove this? Yes. Okay, if we remove these things, then do we have some path or road? Yes, we say yes. And then how to practice, how to progressive the way of the practice. These things are coming next week. So hopefully you understanding this my teaching, because my English is not good. For that reasons I repeat one word again and again. Someone understood my vocabularies and what I teaching. It's possible you are a little bit like a what is called? It's a little bit hazy, because again repeat that. But you can learn with me patient. Today we teach about the patient, right? Then you can be patient with me. So this is your coming here has some result. And then whenever again I would like to request to you is we want to be kind person, kind people. For example, I am kind person. If I'm kind person, then here we have 30, 40, how many people are there? Then I am like a medicine. Same like that, you are kind person. Then among this group, you are the medicine. What is the medicine? The medicine is some recovered from the illness. Same like that, you are a kind person, then people love you, then people listen to you, and then people follow with you. By this way, you can lead the perfect way. You can lead the correct way. So this we can do. This is not only one person's responsibility. This is all of us responsibility. We always want to think of future of the generations. If we can put peace on their mind, then their life has some value, and then they can put some peace to their next generations. But through this way, then we can make peace of this world. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I think maybe we are chanting the this yellow book, page 16, page 16. Your 1,000 arms are the 1,000 Chakravartin kings. Your 1,000 eyes are the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortune area. I prostrate to the Venerable Chinrezu who shows whatever is needed to subdue those to be subdued. Thank you so much.
Oh, hello everyone. I just wanted to make an announcement. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Christina. I'm the director here, and we're very happy to see some new faces, and then of course those who have been already coming. And I just wanted to let you all know that we are having some wonderful weekend retreats here in September. So each of the first 4 weekends in September, Khenpo Tenzin has very kindly offered to lead some introductory retreats on the foundations of Buddhism. And so for the first weekend, there will be teachings and meditation practice on mindfulness meditation. And then the next weekend is all about how karma works. And then the third weekend will be on the true nature of reality. And then the last weekend's on how to develop loving kindness. So they're really wonderful fundamentals of Buddhism, and Khenpo Tenzin, as you've experienced, knows what he's talking about and is really qualified to lead us in these wonderful teachings. So there are flyers inside the office bookstore building. So please feel free to take one and let us know if you have any questions, if you'd like to sign up now. And you're welcome to just come for 1 weekend or 2, 3, or all of them. And so that's what's happening in September. And then Khenpo will also be leading a 7-day Vipassana retreat in October. And that is on insight meditation, designed to help develop more wisdom and more compassion. And it will be a wonderful opportunity to really go deep into developing your meditation practice, which inevitably always leads to more happiness and more peace and more love in the mind. So we hope you'll all be able to come for one of all of those wonderful retreat offerings. And now Khenpo is going to be in the dining hall to answer some questions, if anybody has some. All right, and then we'll be resuming at 1 o'clock here in the temple for the meditation class that Khenpo Tenzin leads 1 to 2. And then from 2 to around 3:30 or so, we do the White Tara practice and World Peace Prayers. So please join for all of those. Thank you.
If you have questions in this book, you can bring this in the dining hall, and then you ask. This book, everybody got this book? Or you can ask me this book, or in any kind of you have questions, then